Good morning, everyone, and welcome into the Spotlight Omaha podcast, where we take you around the city of Omaha, introduce you to local business owners, influential figures, and people who are making an impact on our community today. We are brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. Pixel Fire Marketing is a locally owned marketing firm who specializes in website design, creating social media ads, and engaging your brand and business online today. Check out pixelfiremarketing.com if Dan DeSivey and his crew can help you out with any of that. Today, I'm joined by Shawn from Project Pink. Shawn McCarville joins us. Thank you very much for being here today. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Talk to us a little bit about what Project Pink is, because I think everybody sees the pink ribbons and understands that you're helping breast cancer survivors. Can you get a little bit into detail what Project Pink is doing for people in Nebraska and Western Iowa?
Yeah. Project Pink is a local breast cancer nonprofit that was established in 2012 with their 501c3, and the mission is to help breast cancer survivors in Nebraska and Western Iowa, like you had mentioned, from the moment of diagnosis to end of life, focusing on getting them up to the best quality of life that they can have through all of the different programs that we have, focusing on mind, body, and spirit.
When we talk about the physical versus mental health portion of beating this disease and getting to remission and all those things, what are the biggest things that Project Pink are doing for the mental side of things?
That's a great question. Lots.
Sure.
So,
Yeah, I know that's a lot to unpack. I'm sorry.
Yes. So let me figure out where to start. So the different thing about Project Pink is that we are from the moment of diagnosis to end of life. So once you get that diagnosis in the doctor's office, your whole entire world flips upside down. And the doctors and their team's job is to get you through treatment. And our job is to be there right with you through treatment, but then also after treatment, because the diagnosis is so much more than just having to have chemo, radiation, and surgery. It's what am I going to look like after I go through however many rounds of all of these different treatments? My body is going to be completely different than what it was pre-cancer. So what we focus on is survivorship, which really means giving that breast cancer survivor a community to go to that they didn't realize they were going to need, because there's so many survivors out there that have wonderful support systems through their family and their friends and their jobs. But having someone else that's gone through exactly what you've gone through or similar to what you've gone through is a huge help on the mental side of things, because your life has completely changed. And having someone there that knows what you're going through is a huge help.
When we talk about that process, is it beneficial to have somebody that is in remission, or it can be that kind of light at the end of the tunnel? It is possible we can beat this and we can do it together. Is that helpful, or is it a sense of, no, we need somebody that is going through the battle to be there and be supportive, or maybe a combination of the both?
Definitely both. And it depends on the survivor.
Sure.
There is no one single way to go through treatment or handle what you're going through. So what we are able to provide at Project Pink is the platform of giving you the resources that we know will help you as a survivor. We've got a private Facebook page that you have to be a breast cancer survivor to join. You answer 3 questions: when you were diagnosed, your zip code, and your healthcare agency. And we have just under 1,300 members on it currently. So we've built this platform for years and years to be able to help these survivors with any type of question that they may have, and support all together. And what we like to tell people is you can be as involved as you want. You can be a fly on the wall, because yes, it is extremely overwhelming right when you get diagnosed. But knowing that there are survivors that are 5, 10, 20, 30 years out down the road with the same diagnosis that you had gives you a little bit of glimmer of hope. But
absolutely.
It is overwhelming. So we've got a few,
because you're in the thick of it, and it's kind of hard to get 10, 20, 30 years down the road.
Yes, and we do have another program that focuses on newly diagnosed, and it's a Zoom call. It's called A Cup of Conversation, that a survivor registers for. You have to be within 12 months of diagnosis to register for. And it's a every other month Zoom call where we have a panel of 4 or 5 survivors on there that are there to listen and answer questions, and they range from a few years out of diagnosis to, I think one is 20 some years.
That's incredible.
And so it's really, you join the call, you can participate in the phone call if you want, or you can just listen. And there's other newly diagnosed survivors on there as well. And you just talk through the processes of what's going on.
One other way you guys are helping other than a platform, and you brought one of these bags in when we met at a networking event, is you guys are providing these Healing Hearts kits, which have several donations that come from not only survivors, but people that are just trying to give back. Can you tell us exactly what the Healing Hearts kits are and what they include?
Yeah. So this program is near and dear to my heart. These are kits that go with each modality of treatment. And what that means is we've got a radiation kit, we've got a chemotherapy kit, and we've got a surgery kit. And they're all different because each different modality of treatment does different types of things to your body.
Right.
These kits were designed by survivors for survivors. So when we designed them, we had a panel of survivors that said, I wish I had this, or I found out about this product after I was going through treatment and it was a lifesaver. So we took the step in, why don't we create these kits and prep these survivors with things that they don't realize that they need, and give it to them at the doctor's office. So for example, in our chemotherapy kit, we have dry mouth spray because their mouth gets really, really dry. There's queasy drops because you don't feel so good.
Right.
There's a sleep cap to keep your head warm at night.
I was gonna say, okay.
Because your head gets cold because when it's different than shaving your head. When your hair follicles fall out of your head, it's super tender and cold and just not a great feeling. So that keeps their head warm. Then in our radiation kit, we've got emu oil, which helps moisturize the burned skin on whichever portion of the chest or armpit that is getting radiated. Lindy Skin Cooling Pad, which those are expensive. And we found those and we work directly with the vendor, and it's a basically a gel pad that you can keep in the refrigerator. And when you're done with treatment, you can put it on that affected area, wherever it may be, to provide some relief. And then surgery kit goes along. We've got a robe, a journal, and the one item in there that we received tons and tons of positive feedback on are drainage belts.
Which is?
So when you have a mastectomy or a double mastectomy, you have a drain or a few drains coming out of wherever the side that is affected, and they just hang down.
Right.
And the doctor doesn't provide you with anything to hold them. So what's been advised is you put them in your pockets, or and because they're just drains that are hanging down from you. This is a belt that goes around your waist and it holds those drains.
It gives extra support.
Exactly. And then that also comes with a shower version to keep those drains dry when you're able to shower. Those are a huge lifesaver. So these kits are given to these breast cancer survivors by their doctors, provided by us, and just to give them a little bit more support so that they don't have to think about those things.
What is the most commonly asked question when somebody is being approached by Project Pink to provide support, to provide an outlet, to provide a platform, to provide gifts to help them through this? What is the most commonly asked question that you guys face?
By survivors or by...
in general. I guess it could be in general. Because obviously families play a part in this, and a lot of people... some people probably just want to ask how they can get involved, too. But I'm sure there's probably more questions from the people that are dealing with the disease than anybody else.
I guess it would be like where to start. And because they're so scared, they don't know what to expect, and they have all of this advice being given to them by their healthcare team. So we tell them and we give them the resources that we have, that cup of conversation call if they're willing to join the Survivors Unite page, because it is so beneficial and they can get so many questions answered without even having to post a question themselves. And then we ask them what do they need? How are they doing? Because this disease makes people feel so alone and so isolated, even though they potentially can have so much support.
I want to go back to the bags, and if somebody wants to give items to the Healing Heart kits, obviously you guys will accept all the items you just listed, but what are some of the items that are the hardest to acquire, or that you maybe not have as many of us that you guys would like to continue to provide for survivors?
Well, I wouldn't. Okay. So we have the set items that we put in each kit. It's just the cost of the average cost of one of these bags is $150 per bag. So all of the items that we put in them are listed on our website. And we do have an Amazon wish list. So like those Lindy skin cooling pads retail are $35 a pad.
Wow.
And we try and put one, if not two, depending on how like the donations for the year in each radiation kit. So stuff like that, and we put emu oil in there. That's on our Amazon wish list. But I guess the issue, and I wouldn't really say it's an issue, but the I guess bumps in the road that we face
hurdles that
year,
you're trying to get over.
Yeah, are the demand for these kits is going up, and these kits are not cheap.
Yeah.
So we try and do 2 builds a year of roughly 1,000 each time. So to try and get 2,000 out. But the more people that learn about us and the more healthcare agencies that are able to order these from us, the demand is going up and we need to purchase more.
Is that kind of the goal, is 2,000 a year?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Last year we gave out 1,700.
okay.
We're on track to do 2,000 this year, but the healthcare agencies, like I had mentioned, this is how we get them out, is that we disperse them to the healthcare agencies, and then the healthcare agencies give them to the patients directly. We are able to ship them directly to a survivor's door, but we have amazing relationships with all of the healthcare agencies in Nebraska and Western Iowa, so that's the easiest way for us to get them directly to breast cancer patients. But the healthcare systems are running out sooner than we're able to fulfill them.
Which is unfortunate because that means the numbers are going up.
Exactly. So the more people that learn about us, yes, that's a goal. Obviously, we want to make sure every breast cancer survivor receives our support if needed. But with those numbers going up, we need to be able to, on the back end, raise the funds to be able to purchase more, to be able to give those out.
I want to talk about that. We're catching up with Shawn McCarville from Project Pink here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. Obviously, the only way to continue to grow those numbers is to grow the funds. What are you guys doing at Project Pink to help raise money, and how can people make a donation?
So our biggest fundraiser that we put on as an organization is actually coming up in 4 weeks from tomorrow.
Wow. Okay.
And it's called Exposed, It's Personal, where it's a gala benefit this is our 15th annual, where we bring in just over 1,000 guests to the Embassy Suites La Vista.
Okay.
And celebrate survivorship. That's our biggest fundraiser, and we do a silent auction and live auction. Ticket sales were in May. We are unfortunately sold out. Fortunately and unfortunately,
Yeah,
depending
sure.
on how you look at it, we sold out in technically 2.5 hours.
That's incredible.
On May 13th, which was insane.
No, I'm sure you guys. I'm sure you guys love Embassy Suites. We're not trying to hurt anybody's feelings here, but is there conversations about maybe moving it to a bigger venue if it's selling out that quickly?
Yes, we have had conversations. The big thing is Cynthia Sturgeon, our founder. The reasoning behind it is it's personal. We want to make sure that every guest that we invite,
Sure.
Or that buys a ticket, knows that they are making a difference. So when we look at possibly going bigger, it loses that personal touch.
Good point.
And so yes, there's some hurdles around that. But we still have a little bit more room at the embassy.
Sure. Yeah,
squeeze
absolutely.
in.
And obviously you've said it twice now. It's personal. It's on the logo. It's more than a ribbon. It's personal. I think anybody, and unfortunately at this point, probably everybody has got some personal connection to this awful, debilitating disease. Why is it personal for you?
Well, that's a good question. My mom died of metastatic breast cancer in 2001. So it's always been around in my family.
Sure.
We supported all of the large national breast cancer organizations. In 2011, I was on the Millard South softball team, and we got asked to volunteer for this Project Pink Exposed fundraiser through one of my teammates. Her step-grandma was the founder.
Yeah.
So we went and set up for this thing that we had no idea what it was. We just knew it was a breast cancer organization. So we went and we set up
And at that time, it was in its infancy, and it wasn't really anything anyway. Sure.
Yeah. So it was still a big event at the Hilton downtown. There was a few hundred guests. So we set up and we were invited to sit in the back while the program unfolded. And there's one portion of the program that that really hooked me, and it was the survivor ceremony.
Yeah.
Where Cynthia invited all of the breast cancer survivors to stand up in the room, and there was just tons. And I didn't realize that there was an organization in my backyard that helped breast cancer survivors.
And usually around that time is when people start cutting onions in the room as well.
Oh gosh,
Yeah.
there was lots right in front of me. So from that moment on, I was hooked.
It's so powerful too, because like we all know somebody that's been affected, but to see that so many people not only have been affected by this disease, but have beaten it, it gives so many people the opportunity to say, okay, yes, it sucks, and this is a process, but somebody else can do it, and they can give me the strength to do it too. I think about Coaches versus Cancer and standing up to cancer and all the stuff that Creighton does. Is Project Pink directly involved with that in any way, or has there ever been a discussion about that?
There has been discussions. Coaches versus Cancer and Creighton's annual Pink Out goes to an amazing cause, the Hope Lodge.
Yep.
And they're one of their biggest funders.
Yeah, because Coach Mack's directly involved down there too. Yeah.
And I am a huge advocate for the Hope Lodge. It's very needed in our community. So we have been noticed by them. We've done the Creighton volleyball team last year did their Pink Out, and we were the community partner.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
So which that was the first year, and then Husker Gymnastics did a Pink Out meet.
Okay.
For us. As a community partner. And so we are getting out there. It's not necessarily, there's a fine line between being the beneficiary of like a third party fundraiser when it comes to sporting events. But being recognized by the community
it's a huge deal.
We'll take that any day. Just if the goal, would be if we can let one survivor know about us that didn't know about us before, it's worth it.
It's a step in the right direction. Is there anything event-wise, like if we're looking at the calendar of Omaha for the year, that's like if we could become a part of this, or if we could be recognized here, or if somehow we could kind of duplicate this, is there anything like that Project Pink is aiming to do, or maybe growing in that direction?
Ooh. Currently, I would say not yet, or not. We have so many events, and we are definitely volunteer driven. We've got currently 3 paid staff, which is more than we've ever had before. We like to make sure that our money is spent in the right way, and we're extremely transparent about that. So we don't have the manpower and bandwidth to put anything else on currently. But maybe in the future.
Sure.
The options are endless.
That brings us to a great point. If somebody wants to become donate their time or become a volunteer somewhere, where on the website can they go to do that, and what does that look like?
Yes, we love our volunteers. Like I mentioned, we're volunteer driven. There is a portion on our website, projectpink.org. There's a tab, and it says, oh gosh, you're quizzing me now.
Who we are?
Who we are.
Okay.
Yes,
I think. Our team?
Nope. Shoot.
What makes us? No, that's not it.
So it's at the top, and it's how to get involved. Maybe there's a volunteer.
There definitely is somewhere. We'll find it. Join the movement.
Yes, thank you. Join the movement.
And there's an option for participate and then volunteer. Yes, there it is.
Correct.
You passed.
Yeah. See right there.
Who are some of the people maybe that are in the community that have volunteered some time, that have made some difference outside of the 3 of you guys that are employed, that you lean in and say, they're one of us and they've kind of helped make this thing go?
Oh my gosh. Hundreds.
Name
people.
all of them right now.
So that's the thing. It's on our impact statement, we always let the community know who's volunteered for us and how many and the hours, I guess. So I think last year we had over 500 volunteers and like 5,000-ish hours. So I can't go through a list of 500.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
But like for example, two of our biggest volunteer events of the year are Exposed. I guess 3. Exposed, that's coming up in August, and we have over 150 volunteers help with that. Care to Share Thanksgiving, where that's a Thanksgiving program that we put on where we do an in-person survivor event. And then the following weekend, we're able to porch drop. Last year, we did over 250 Thanksgiving meals.
And just dropping them off at people's house.
Yep. So that was over 100 volunteers, and that was across the state of Nebraska and Western Iowa. And then Healing Hearts kits. Those kits, we have to have vehicles and drivers and lots of manpower to help with that. And that's over probably close to 100 volunteers throughout the year for that. So lots of volunteers, and we are so grateful for them.
Pop quiz number 2. If somebody wants to make a donation monetarily, they can go to the website, do that there as well, right?
Correct. They're right on projectpink.org. On the right-hand side, there's a little pink little ribbon looking drop down. It says donate.
There it is. There you go. Okay.
Click there, and then it gives you actually items that equate to the dollar amount. So you know what your money can be used for. So like Box of Hope, Healing Hearts kits, paying utilities, stuff like that.
Is that a big deal for you guys to be able to say, hey, you're putting X amount of dollars and this is exactly what it's going towards?
Definitely. What we've learned is that, first of all, Nebraskans like to give back to Nebraska.
It's very true.
Which, I mean, I'm here for it. So we are extremely transparent. We tell there's been a couple tenants that we've had since the beginning. One being at least 80% of the dollars that we spend on programming goes directly back to a survivor. So that means 80 cents of every dollar is going right back to a survivor in Nebraska or Western Iowa, which is huge. Another thing is 50% of those programming dollars that we spend goes back to our first ever program that we had, which is Helping Hand Grant, which is a financial assistance program that helps active survivors in active treatment pay their bills. Whatever that bill may be, it just has to be submitted through their social worker at their healthcare agency. They submit, let's say, OPPD bill or child care bill or their car insurance or whatever bill it may be.
Sure.
They submit it through there, and we pay that bill directly up to a certain amount of money per calendar year. So
when we talk about, and we're catching up with Shawn McCarville from Project Pink here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. When we talk about Nebraska nice, but you guys are very involved in the Council Bluffs, Western Iowa community. Why was it such a big deal to be able to outreach across the river and help folks over there too?
Because there's so many, I guess it's the healthcare system. So there's all of the river counties and 2 over into Iowa is our service area. So some people, there might be people in Red Oak that come and receive treatment in Omaha. So they are technically receiving a treatment in Nebraska. So
Sure.
Cynthia was like, we might as well help these survivors that are bleeding over.
Yeah.
So because Council Bluffs and Omaha, they're basically right there next to each other. I'm not going to say they're the same because no.
We don't want to offend the people in Omaha.
No, definitely not.
Just kidding, Iowa. We love you.
Yeah.
What does the communication sound like if somebody were to reach out from outside of the footprint, and how do you guys help in that way?
Yes. So that happens quite often. And we don't like to turn anyone away, especially if they actively went out and found us.
Sure.
They're looking for some sort of support. So we have our wonderful office administrator, Melissa. She has a list of other resources that they can go and they can research. So let's say they're from South Dakota or Colorado. We send them to American Cancer Society, and they can get resources that way because you just have to put your zip code in. And then there's a few others that she lets them know. And on the other side of that, people with a different type of cancer, since we only serve breast cancer survivors, people are calling in and asking for help.
Right.
There is a network out there. So we do American Cancer Society, but there's also Nebraska Cancer network where that gives resources for a lot of other cancers. So we understand that they need help. We apologize that we can't help them because they're not in our service area, but we try and give them other resources to try and help them.
Is there, I mean, are you guys going to conventions, or is there meetings where you're having meetings with groups in Colorado, California, Texas, Iowa, Indiana, wherever, and just kind of, hey, this is what we're doing that's successful. What are you guys doing, communicating, things like that?
Not currently right now. We do have a relationship with the National Breast Cancer Foundation.
Okay.
And they are out of Frisco, Texas. So we just started that relationship. So we hope to be more active in learning what other communities are doing for breast cancer survivors. But from right now, what we know is that there are not a lot of organizations that are going as in depth as we are to help breast cancer survivors in the way that we are outside of Nebraska.
Do you have a favorite story from your time with Project Pink?
A favorite story? Oh gosh, I wouldn't say a favorite. No, because there's so many.
There's one that sticks out maybe more than others.
Yeah. So, like I had mentioned, we have a financial assistance program called Helping Hand Grants. So at the end of the year, there's a portion of those Helping Hand grants that it's called dignity cards. And this was so our founder, Cynthia Sturgeon, she passed away from metastatic disease in 2022. Her last program that she developed were these dignity cards. And what they are a $150 Hy-Vee gift card that we give to the healthcare agencies during the holiday season, so in November and December. And we give them a certain amount, and the social workers are able to, at their discretion, give it to a breast cancer survivor that's going through a rough time during the holidays. So we gave a group of these gift cards to this social worker, and she gave us a story back on how much this $150 gift card impacted a breast cancer survivor. And the message that we received was that this $150 gift card helped a survivor because before she had came to treatment that day, she looked in her cupboard in her refrigerator and saw a can of tomato soup and a couple eggs. And she had to make that last until her next paycheck next week. So these are the stories that we hear all the time and the thank you notes that we receive. But that's like one that we are making a difference and we're able to make a difference.
Helping people eat.
Exactly. We're helping people eat when they're going through one of the hardest times of their life. And the reason that we're able to do that is because we have amazing donors and an amazing community that knows that they need it.
I mean, that's an incredible way to look at it because, I mean, these people are literally fighting for their lives and they're having to worry about paying the electric bill, affording eggs and tomato soup along with other things. And obviously some of them have children and providing for them as well. We're kind of hitting that mark where we like to cut everything off at half hour. Is there anything about Project Pink that we haven't mentioned that people should know about?
I just want to reiterate that we are from the moment of diagnosis until the end of life. So any breast cancer survivor, no matter how far out they are from diagnosis, is welcome in our community. And we would love to have you participate. Along with that, if you know a newly diagnosed survivor, please either you reach out or have someone else reach out or them so that we can get them loaded up with the resources that we can provide.
Head over to projectpink.org. The website is scrolling across the bottom of your screen now if you can donate time or money, or if you know somebody who has been affected by this awful disease and we can help them fight along with. That is Shawn McCarville from Project Pink. Thank you so much for being here and telling your story.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
We'll go from talking about helping people survive to helping animals survive. We'll be back tomorrow at 11 o'clock, helping a local animal shelter get their information out there, and a whole lot more here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. See you at 11 tomorrow.